There is so much to say about everything that happened at All Saints in 2020, even if most of what happened did not actually happen at All Saints. Instead, it happened out in the bits and bytes of cyberspace, but even in the midst of global pandemic, the life and mission and ministry of this parish continued through this challenging year. Thanks be to God. So much has happened over the past 12 months, and I encourage you to read the annual report in full to see how each ministry area creatively and tenaciously responded to the challenge of being church while separated from one another. I can't tell you all those stories in this Rector report, but these stories should be told and shared. But in short, 2020 went like this. A completely normal January and February, with annual meeting, adult and children's formation, outreach activities, Shrove Tuesday pancake supper, and Ash Wednesday, and the beginning of Lenten small groups focusing on a book of meditations written by our own members. All the while, the COVID-19 pandemic was spreading out of China and across the globe. On March 15th, the church was shut down and services went online. By March 29th, all of us were locked down. Donna, because she lives in the rectory, which is on church property, was the only person allowed by the bishop to enter the church. She and I took turns live streaming worship off our cell phones to Facebook Live. Sunday school moved on to Zoom. The Lent groups moved on to Zoom. Meetings moved on to Zoom. Bible studies moved on to Zoom. And the most miraculous thing happened. We mostly managed to move online one way or another. And our vestry called each member on the phone to find out how folks were doing and to figure out how we could support people who couldn't get online. The online chat function in worship became a place where people could offer prayers and find support. The Zoom small groups worked so well in Lent that they continued on through Easter and then into summer. The Fridays at 5 service and later in the fall, the Zoom coffee hours provided a way for people to connect with one another. There were emails after emails announcing various events and sharing Zoom links, mostly because we want to protect those Zoom links, so I apologize for all the emails. But we need to keep the crashers out and the Zoom bombers out. But we want you to know how we are doing and what's happening and keep you in touch with All Saints. As restrictions loosened in the summer, we tried some in-person worship, which was very small. It was attended by only about 20 people. But after weeks without having communion, we were able to share the sacrament again, either in worship or by contactless porch communions, where we kind of dropped off the sacrament and said a few prayers. We had some tailgate church services where we could see each other in the parking lot and get communion. Coffee house was held in the parking lot during the summer, and we could connect there in a socially distanced way. There were a few hikes with communion in creation, and I held outdoor office hours for as long as I could stand the weather. But as fall wore on and the caseloads rose, we were driven back indoors again. But the life of the congregation continued on. The beautification subcommittee selected the design by artist Doug DeLinde for the new sculpture to hang on our sanctuary wall. We hired 2 new staff members, building manager Paul Hood to replace our longtime sexton Scott Hoffman, who retired, and a worship video coordinator, Isabella Hepner, who is driving our brand new live streaming system to bring internet worship to a new level of skill and professionalism. Our stewardship ministry, led by Ann Porter Day, successfully held an online ministry fair and a stewardship campaign that was bountiful and blessed and helped us to stay strong. Our Buildings and Grounds Committee made sure the facility stayed functional and safe, and even when the boiler failed in the fall, we had to purchase a new one, they kept everything going. The Newcomers Ministry helped welcome 15 new members on All Saints Day, people who wanted to be part of our community, even though some of them had never walked through the actual doors of the church. The Children and Youth Formation Ministry went above and beyond in the work of moving Sunday school and EYC online, keeping families connected and young people engaged, and I'm especially proud of those of our parents who participated in a summer book group about anti-racism, even while working and caregiving at home. Our outreach ministry stepped up. In addition to providing a meal for 150 homeless people once a month at Advent House, we took on the task of providing 50 sack lunches every Tuesday, starting last June and still going strong. We held a bike drive in the parking lot for bikes for refugee youth. The Nigerian family we had been supporting moved to Ann Arbor, and so we decided to now help a Libyan family who is seeking asylum here in the U.S. We continued to strive for justice with Action of Greater Lansing, and 20 members participated in Val Smith's Resisting Oppression workshop during the summer to continue to work on issues of equity and anti-racism. Parish Care continued to connect with our shut-ins and support members struggling with health or other sorrows. And while we missed coffee hour and we missed the parish picnic and we missed Celebration Sunday luncheon and all those ways we gather around food and fun and fellowship, that connection continued online with things like the best happy hour ever and Zoom coffee hour. I don't know what this next year will bring. I hope for an easing of restrictions. I hope for more and more people to be vaccinated. I hope for the danger level to drop, and most importantly, I hope for us to be able to see one another in real life again, to worship together, to share the two great sacraments of the church, which have gone missing for so long, baptism and Eucharist. But I do know that how we go forward as All Saints Episcopal Church will be different. Live streaming the service will always be important. Having some ability to gather on Zoom will continue to be important. How we form people and help people grow spiritually will start to take on a really multi-platform approach, drawing on resources both ancient and futuristic. We will be changed, and that's okay, because I think it's helping us become more and more like the community God is calling us to be. We are poised for some amazing kind of resurrection. Once we can crawl out of this tomb, and I know we're going to be just fine. As Ralph Abernathy said, I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future. With God as our guide, All Saints will not just survive, we will thrive. Before I close, particularly this year, I need to thank various very important people. First, the incredible staff that worked from home, that reinvented our common life, that kept going even when it seemed like we were just rolling boulders up a hill. Donna McNeil, our associate rector and the MSU chaplain. Annette Molesky, our deacon. Susie Pearson, our office manager. Becky Beauregard, the children and family coordinator. Scott Hoffman, our sexton, who retired in September. And our Mr. Fix-It new building manager, Paul Hood. Quincy Dobbs, our minister of music, Janet Bentley, our bookkeeper, and Isabella Hepner, our new worship video coordinator. And then the entire vestry, but especially senior warden Matt Kazmersky, who in addition to leading the vestry through this crazy year, was also our video support person throughout. And a special shout out to Jane Leopard for bringing her beautiful voice to our worship week after week. God has blessed us so much, my friends, even during COVID, and especially through COVID. I am so grateful for God's tender love and care. And I am so, so, so grateful for all of you. As I complete my 14th year as your rector, I close with a quote from Groundhog Day, that movie that feels like how we've been living our life through the past year. In that film, after living the same day over and over again for thousands of times probably in Punxsutawney, PA, Weatherman Phil Connors makes his peace with his strange life. He says, and I'm going to paraphrase just a little bit, when Chekhov saw The Long Winter, he saw a winter bleak and dark and bereft of hope. Yet we know that winter is just another step in the cycle of life. But living here among the people of All Saints Episcopal Church, and basking in the warmth of their hearths and hearts. I couldn't imagine a better fate than a long and lustrous winter. Thank you.
As I went down to the river to pray, sunny